What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom OG. Catelynn Lowell and Tyler Baltiera have been raw dogging it, so naturally she needed a sidekick to tell her whether or not she was pregnant. You would think that she would understand by now that just wait until you're late and then take a test and find out for yourself. So why waste that kind of money for something so damn rudimentary? Sorry y'all, I didn't realize it at first, but she asked the psychic what she would have, and the psychic claimed that she was pregnant with a boy. Yikes. Anyway, down in LA, Cheyenne has been back with Zach for a few weeks now, so she figures it's time to buy a house with him. Not even rent a house, buy a house with him. She wants to move closer to the Valley, which is where the cast of Vanderpump Rules and a couple of other celebrities live. So I'm kind of curious, you guys, what is it that Zach does for work? Because I wonder how much he can financially contribute towards the purchase of a house down in that area. I suspect that she's already pregnant at this point, and that's why she wanted to take this huge step with him so soon. She asked her fine ass daddy whether or not he'd be like okay with her doing that, and he was all gung-ho about it as well. Guys, what did you think about Maci and Taylor's discussion with Bentley about the party at Ryan and Mackenzie's house? I kind of felt like they were asking him leading questions and creating a very obviously biased and somber atmosphere. Like the two of them just walk into the room like, Bentley, there's gonna be, Jagger's party. It's gonna be at your dad and Mac's house, not, Mimi and Grandpa's. And we know you've been saying all this stuff about that. Why not just have a casual conversation and see how he feels? You know what I mean? They really went in with very heavy energy. Yeah, I believe them about Bentley being uncomfortable around Ryan or whatever, but they still could have been at least a little bit more neutral when talking to him about it, because listen, kids' opinions change all the time, especially when it comes to their parents. Bentley obviously says that he wants to go to the party at Jen and Larry's house instead, because apparently it's too big of a jump to go from not seeing Ryan, for a long while to just popping up at his house, and I totally understand that. She then asked Bentley if he wants MTV to record audio from the conversation, and I felt like that should have never even been on the table. Maci needs to get some of her own business so we can look into her own life at this point. Why is it that this woman was allegedly drinking well into her pregnancy with Maverick, and we completely glossed over that very serious issue, but we have to henpeck Bentley's relationship with his father every single episode for how many years now? And then there was a moment where she admitted on television that she and Taylor get really drunk and fight every day. Why can't we see some of those fights? Why do I constantly have to be a fly on the wall on a relationship between a child and his father? So next we get the audio. Mimi Jen was quite understanding about him not wanting to go to the party, and that's that. Next, we're up north in Indiana, where Amber wants Gary to open a fresh food restaurant right in front of his house. She's like, you should open up a restaurant or a store here. I'm like, sis, have you ever heard of laws? You can't exactly just pop up with something like that. And so he's like, he tells her the exact same thing. Guys, these two are so desperate for a storyline, it's quite wild. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, Josh suddenly wants to come to Florida with Mackenzie 2 days ahead of her big move. Then we quickly head back over to Michigan, where Catelynn, who thinks she might be pregnant, decides, hey, why don't I go ahead and get a tattoo? I might get infected getting a tattoo. It's heavily, hepatitis, HIV, you name it, you can possibly get it from getting a tattoo, and this is why it is heavily discouraged for pregnant women to get tattoos. In addition to your skin not healing properly, the tattoo getting infected. What? At first I was really confused at the lack of common sense here, but I was like, okay, then again, this is the same woman who refuses to stop smoking, while she's trying to have a child, refuses to lose weight like the doctor asked her to have a healthy pregnancy, and also refuses to work on her own mental health before getting pregnant. Clearly, I don't know. It all seems to be a little bit of a joke to her. She's a little bit irredeemable to me, you guys. Sorry. And I feel so bad because last week I was really complimentary of Kate. I was like, she's looking so happy, she's taking good care of herself, and then here she goes doing the same dumb stuff that she's usually been doing. So anyway, after she gets her tattoo, she decides to take a pregnancy test, and I was like, Oh my God. It was like a really weird scene because her producer Kirthy and someone else and like the camera person were all in the room like awkwardly listening to her pee or whatever. And so she takes the digital one and the pink line one, and she's the only one in the room who sees a faint positive line on the pink one, and then the digital one clearly says no. But she's like, I'm so confused, I gotta take a couple more. And so she's like, you know, if I need to pee on the way there, I will pee on the way there. All right, sis. Anyway, back in Tennessee, Ryan was looking so high when he was discussing Bentley not coming to their house for the birthday party. He couldn't keep his eyes open. His head was bobbing all over the place. And at this point, Mackenzie calls Maci a petty bitch for messing with her kids because, you know, they're getting their hopes up about Bentley coming to the birthday party. It's like, listen, he's not coming on Friday, but he's coming on Sunday. And Ryan calls her a spiteful, evil bitch. And you guys, by the way, Maci has since responded with a little bit of a, you know, I could be a petty bitch and say this, but these people probably don't even know what that even means. It's kind of crazy to me that this man, who's obviously still so deep in the throes of his addiction, and this woman who knows that this man is suffering from addiction and still decided to have all these kids with him, and he still decided to have all these kids himself, they have the nerve to call anyone else names. You guys are the most selfish people out there for subjecting 2 additional kids to this mess. Whew, you guys. Next, we are in Los Angeles where Cheyenne and her sister take the kids to go house hunting. Zach was a little bit busy. He's working, but again, I don't know what he does for work, so please let me know if you know. And guys, I was like, even the realtor that Cheyenne works with is beautiful. How is it that everybody in this girl's scenes is like, oh, so damn pretty? It's crazy. Like men, women, everybody beautiful. And so anyway, the house she was looking at was gorgeous too. It looked like one of those Hollywood houses. Sometimes it feels like she is on a different show than everyone else. She just like pops in from this like glamorous like Hollywood life and like, you know, in the middle of everyone else in these like small towns or whatever. It's kind of funny to me sometimes. Anyway, the house wasn't the greatest thing. It was like marble floors and stuff, which isn't the greatest idea with, you know, kids. Cheyenne's like, we need hardwood floors. Babies, sis. Babies. Anyway, Corey calls for him the challenge, and Cheyenne then announces that she's buying a house with Zach, and Corey tells her that he knows a pregnancy announcement is soon to follow. Guys, it made me a little bit sad that these people are constantly expecting pregnancy announcements but never engagement announcements, you know. In Oklahoma again, Mackenzie, you know, finds a parking lot and calls Josh about the move to Florida because she's like, he's messing with my head. Why does he suddenly want to come? And, you know, he seems to have changed his mind again. He says that he doesn't want to move and be stuck with a bitch or whatever. And you know, I'm really tired of this broken record storyline at this point. She calls Josh a horrible husband and a horrible human as well and hangs up on him, but we all know that they are back together, just, you know, acting like none of this ever happened. Up north in Indiana again, Amber and Gary sell his produce and pies by the side of the road, and it really stuck out to me, you guys, that the only person wearing a mask here was the one person who slept with Matt Baer. You would think that raw dogging it with him meant that you didn't care about your personal health, but I digress. Over in Michigan again, Catelynn is looking for more pregnancy tests, so she puts on her mask and holds a lighter in one hand as she's chanting the mantra, "You're a happy pregnant woman, you're a happy pregnant woman." Obviously that lighter was for her cigarettes. I'm sorry, you guys, it's trashy. I am really judgmental against women who smoke while pregnant. What is this mess, you guys? So she gets into the house and she brings out a giant container of pee, and the pee was so dark, you guys, it looked like she hadn't drank water since Obama was president. Like, sis, I know you owe $800,000 to the IRS, but take a little sip of water. It's not that expensive. I saw that Louis Vuitton bag of yours. You can afford a glass of water every once in a while. And then she was dipping all these tests in it on the kitchen counter or whatever, and Tyler looked disgusted with her. In fact, though, Tyler disgusted me too, because he held one of the pregnancy tests, and then like later on, he's like putting his hand on his mouth as he's talking to her, and I'm like, dude, you just held a pee stick of dark orange, copper, maybe even brown pee, dude, and now you've got your hand on your mouth. Reevaluate your life here. Anyway, none of the tests looked positive. You know, Tyler told her as much. He's like, listen, I don't see positives. She's like, I keep seeing these faint lines. I keep getting them. It means I've got that HCG or HCG or whatever hormone, you know, in my urine. He's like, all right, sis. But here's the thing. I felt like Catelynn knew that she was not pregnant, she was not getting positives. The digital test already definitively told her no, so she didn't have to guess. So to me, if she finds those like faint lines difficult to read, why was she not getting a digital pregnancy test? You know what I mean? Like, I think she knew that she wasn't, and she just kind of wanted to ignore that. And she was kind of like steamrolling the conversation with Tyler, like she did with Kurthy as well, about these faint positives. Back down in LA again, Cheyenne feels too much pressure from like the real estate agents to buy a house now. They're like, the pandemic, the houses are selling so much, you got to act now. She's like, all right, this is too stressful. Zach at this point opens up about feeling like they're moving too quickly anyway. And so Cheyenne's like, why don't you move in here? And then we're going to table the conversations about like finding a house for the next 6 months. And then if we still want to after that, then we can start looking. And he agrees to it as well. And then, you know, they talk about how, you know, a ring in the house or in the future. And then Zach basically says, you know, it's happening like, you know, pretty soon as well. So hopefully they get a proposal to follow up that pregnancy. The episode then starts to wind down as we head back to Tennessee, where Bentley recaps the birthday party and said that Ryan didn't interact with him beyond saying a hello. In fact, according to Bentley, Ryan went up to his room after Jagger finished opening up his presents. Guys, does Ryan not act like that random like outcasted or like socially awkward or like reclusive brother we all have? It's like, dude, this is your own son. You know, what are you doing? I personally believe that he went upstairs to, you know, shoot up or something like that. And, you know, it's a very sad assumption, but I think it is the most likely assumption there. And, you know, Taylor and Maci asked, like, did anyone say anything about it or whatever? And according to Bentley, they all acted like nothing was happening while Ryan was hiding out for the entirety of his child's birthday. It's really weird to me that he and Mackenzie were, you know, bashing Maci for not letting Bentley come around. Meanwhile, Bentley is there and his own dad is not even hanging out with him. He doesn't say anything to him beyond hello. Like nothing. He hides out upstairs like a child. Very embarrassing and very pathetic. Also, according to Bentley, Ryan showed up 30 minutes late to his own son's birthday and by himself as well. Is anyone else thinking he stopped by at the bank and then later went upstairs to, you know, deposit some of the coins he picked up from the bank into his veins? Guys, I really have to say that like my heart was so warmed by Bentley when Maci was like, oh my God, like I could tell you were pissed. And she kind of seems a little entertained by it, I gotta say. And Bentley's like, no, it's not about me, it's about Jagger. And I was like, he is so mature and he's so compassionate, and it's sad that he's ever been put in this position. And it's also sad that he has to show this kind of really like deeply personal and troubling family dynamic on television as well. And in the final scene of the episode, Catelynn gets her period, and then she acts shocked that she would get a period after, you know, getting what, like 20 negative pregnancy tests. And Tyler calls her out for obsessively taking pregnancy tests instead of waiting to at least miss her period, you know, first. And so she agrees to kind of start going with the flow a little bit more and stop being so obsessive. He's like, you started testing like a week later or something. She's like, you never know what can happen in a week. And, you know, I don't know. I thought that she was at least late, the way that she kept on obsessively testing. I thought, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, like, if you're late, then you're like, oh, I don't know, then why am I late? Why is this? But she like just started testing immediately and went that hard. I don't know. I personally would have tested like 1 or 2 times, you know, 2 times if I was confused, and waited to like be late or like miss the period or something like that before I went like crazy trying to take, you know, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different tests. But different strokes for different folks. It seems that she was really excited to try to get pregnant at this point. So all the more power to her. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom 2. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.